Hello, welcome back to Raw Talk podcast. I apologise for this terrible set of headphones at the minute. We're doing it virtually because people are working and obviously with sort of coronavirus lockdown restrictions in place, we've got to change it up a bit. This week I'm with Tom Quiney. He's a friend from back home. I went to secondary school with him and then he took a sort of different route to me. And we similar different sort of route. We do similar sort of courses, and I just wanted to kind of like chat to him and have a different sort of shared perspective on how things have changed this year in terms of the way we've been taught, because we are on similar university courses. Do you just want to say who you are, Tom, and what you've been up to?
You pretty much introduced me pretty well. So I know Matt back from secondary school. We both did GCSE film studies together. Matt's Magic Orange, that silent film, is fantastic. So whilst you did A levels, I went and did a college course in media, and then I'm now at uni, similar to how you are, both doing the same course. So you're at Bournemouth, I'm at Hertfordshire. We're both doing film and TV production.
And especially with your like college sort of background, for me, obviously, I did A levels and I did geography, film, and IT. Your media course was more literally just media, wasn't it? Like you had your 2 years of doing just media.
It was definitely very concentrated. You had a much broader range. Like you were mixing with a lot of different people at sixth form. I found at college was I was really concentrated with like 30 people. For a year and a half before everything shut down because of COVID. It was kind of strange in a way. We didn't really have that we weren't able to mix with other people because everyone was just kind of doing their own thing, having a part-time job at the weekends. So there really wasn't really that much for social life at college. But I don't know. I'm pretty introverted.
Do you think though, especially with, remember when we went back to secondary school sort of time, we would have all these different classes and all these different subjects. And you've got those people that are I would say, slightly interested in a subject. So like when we were doing film, there were people in the class that were invested in watching films, but not necessarily invested in studying film.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So do you think that's like when you go to college and when you come to university, those sort of melting of ideas and the melting of people, they're more confined. So you've got the similar sort of people.
So yeah, I agree with you. Secondary school, there was a much wider melting pot of people, but that's what you get at comprehensive. You get so many people from completely different walks of life. When you go to college, a lot of people choose to go there. Like a lot of people move to go there. Although there are some people who didn't get the grades at GCSE and were forced to. There were a lot of people wanted to go to college and wanted to study media. So that wide melting pot that you had in secondary school kind of again, it's concentrated. There's a lot of people from again, similar different walks of life, but also a lot of them have one focus in mind, but a different range, because I'm doing media, not just film. There was people who wanted to go into publishing. There was people who wanted to go into graphic design, photography. There was this big range of people. But yeah.
Do you think, especially, with the COVID year, this comes up in basically every single episode of our podcast at the minute. Do you think that you've actually had you can't have the same experience as you would have in a normal year, but do you think you've had a positive experience this year in terms of university?
University, oh boy. It's been interesting, to say the least. Basically, I think they've tried their best. I'm being very optimistic here. I think they've been okay. My theory modules of university this year have been fantastic, but that's because there isn't really much need to be in person. You can just be online and learn from a distance because you're just taking notes, and it's a lot easier to do. The practical elements, you're doing film and TV production. I'm doing film and TV production. It's in the name. You want to do the practical elements. Lackluster, honestly. It's been pretty depressing.
Do you think they've done enough though? For me, they've let me have a couple of sessions post lockdown. Have your university opened up the kit room? Have they let you go in? Have they let you use the facilities or not?
So, taking it back to September, we had one camera class a week.
Oh wow. Okay.
But then we also had, but in that same day, we had like this whole like carousel styled like workshop. So we'd have like editing in the morning, and then
Hmm.
sound like mid morning, and then camera work in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Um, but then lockdown hit after Christmas, and everything kind of went a bit quiet. A project
Yeah.
that we were working on for the uni, for our, like it was like a TV show, got canned because we couldn't complete it, and yeah, it kind of sucked. But after yeah, we've had sessions since the lockdown after Christmas, and it's better. We're having one camera class a week. We've been learning new equipment, which is nice. Um, I think it just falls back like the uni have tried.
Yeah.
It's worked in some elements and it's not in others, but it's completely out of their control. It's in the government's hands, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think that they have stepped up though? Because at my university, with my experience, I know that they can almost do more. Like with the rules and regulations that are in place, they could turn around and be like, right, we want everyone in. You all do tests. You go in straight away. You get to learn all this new equipment. You learn all this new sort of stuff, hands-on equipment stuff, and we put those measures in place for you. Do you think that they've like, I wouldn't say taken a hapdash approach at it, but they haven't been as like pushy and as forceful as they could be?
You know, something that like my brother said to me before, he's a bit older than me. He's graduated from uni.
Yeah.
Something he said to me was, university is what you make of it. So
Yeah.
if you choose to like let the university dictate everything, that's what your uni experience is going to be. Moving on to
Okay.
like
Yeah.
social life, if you decide to party every night, that is your uni experience. But if you decide to like
Yeah.
hustle, if you decide to like get into as many projects as you can, which is what I've been doing, like to kind of
Yeah.
supplement the kind of lack of practical elements of what the course has given me, that's kind of how I've perceived it. So I think yes, I think Hertfordshire could have done better, but
Yeah.
again, it's really out of their control because they could say one week, oh yeah, get a test, come in, we're gonna learn all these equipment, but then next week, if cases were risen, sorry, then like they can't keep doing that. So they
Yeah.
were really in the palm of the government's hand, but the government really haven't really done much for it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you feel like they've said in September? Well, my university, I don't know about yours. They've said in September that they're going to aim to have everything back on campus, even the theory-based parts of the course. Do you feel that's going to happen, or are you worried that it's going to be like promised, but then doesn't happen and come into fruition at the end of it?
There's a lot of things Hertfordshire promised last year that they just haven't done. I remember when lockdown first started, and this was when I already like accepted my place.
Yeah.
Hertfordshire sent out an email saying, "Oh yeah, guys, in September we're gonna have a prom for everyone whose prom got cancelled." I mean, I was from college and we didn't have a prom, so I was like,
Yeah.
"Fine,
You guessed
free
about it,
prom."
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so I brought my suit down. I think I've got to wipe the dust of it because I haven't touched it all year.
Neither have I. I haven't even worn a suit at all.
100%. And yeah, I think this is gonna bite me in the bum if like we go into another lockdown. But I think we are like on the rise, like out of
Yeah.
this whole COVID pandemic, especially with the vaccinations. Like it's looking really optimistic. Whether anything comes through from it, I don't know. I think they are planning on getting a lot more practical lessons. They're giving us a lot of. They've said that they're going to give us loads of refresher lessons. So
Okay.
for people who couldn't make it in at all this year, be it
Yeah.
like in another country, not being able to come through, they're going to do refresher lessons to get everyone up to speed as quick as they can. So
Okay.
we're expecting more practical lessons, but I think the theory will stay online for us.
Yeah. Do you have the same equipment in your first and second year, or do the equipment changes? So like, do you use different cameras, different audio setups?
You know what? I actually spoke to my lecturer about this because we were originally going to learn two cameras this year, but we've only done one because of
Okay.
that lockdown after Christmas. But they were saying they're trying to get us to do a camera a year, get us like
Okay.
really like up to speed, like that we can basically operate it blindfolded and we can record stuff. Because at the end of the day, their approach on teaching is it's not about the camera, it's like how you use it.
Yeah.
So we're using, this is testing me now, XF305s, like the
Okay.
Canon cameras. They're not bad. They're very versatile cameras, but they only shoot in 1080p. And
Okay.
all the like nerds like me were like, oh, why aren't we shooting in 4K? Like, oh, fuming, am I right? But sorry, again, it's teaching us the fundamentals of
Yeah.
the camera work before we move up next year.
Do you have the people that in your course? I mean, I don't want to sound too overly modest, but when I went in for the first sort of camera workshops, they're like, okay, so let's work on the exposure triangle and let's look at how this like thing happens, or what is an ND filter. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I've been doing this for like 5 years. Just get on with it. Do you have those sort of sessions, or is it more like?
We definitely like. At the beginning, we had the exposure triangle, we had the ND filters, because there's, again, even though this whole big melting pot thing that I've been saying all session, hold on, excuse me, the melting pot has like got slimmer. There are some people who've never touched a camera before.
Yeah.
But there's also people in a position like you or like me who have had the experience of being like privileged enough to have that experience. So they've kind of got to like make sure that everyone's on the same like footing before they start giving out assignments and stuff. So yeah, we had the exposure triangle, we had the ND filter lesson. We went through like how the camera worked like for 5 sessions because people kept forgetting, for instance. But yeah, I think it, for me, first year is kind of like a taster of what it's like. When we get into like second or third year, I hope that we go into more like advanced stuff, like different like techniques, like the theories of those like Eastern European filmmakers, because they're fucking crazy, man. But
Yeah. I'm guessing with me, I have theory-based modules and then I have practical-based modules. Do they come alongside each other, or do you do your practical, then your theory, your practical, then your theory, or are they like parallel with each other at the same time?
Are you talking parallel, like they coincide with each other, like they like?
Well,
interlink,
they happen at the same time. They might not be of the same sort of topic or genre or whatever, but they happen at the same time. So you might be working on a TV program and then you're doing theory about like film noir, for example.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, our theory, we had like a day, so we had like practical, and then we had a break, and then theory. Like Wednesday was just nothing happened, and then Thursday we had our theory. Sometimes, like during our TV show assignment, we did have BBC related, like different like broadcasting, like themed lectures in our theory.
Okay.
So they did kind of like try and like link it all together. So it like kind of helped us like plan. But especially with our drama, we did a lot of like transnational TV. So Korean dramas, Asian dramas, European dramas, loads of stuff.
Do you get to choose what, I mean, with me, I choose what I'm studying in terms of theory-based units and then also my specialisms for the second year. Do you get any like choice over that, or is it more like just you're like, okay, you're doing this for second year as well?
I might have to come to your uni. We don't have that choice right now. We don't have that specialism.
So we get a choice.
Yet.
So for the I think researching media next year, I will be focusing on 2 units. So I do, I can't remember. It's one of the units is called remaking media. So it's like adaptations and then obviously remaking media, changing the format of a show or a program. And then the other one I'm focusing on is fake news. So I've made the choice to work on those 2 units, as well as working on producing in studio settings. So I choose those. The university don't give them to me, I choose in second year.
Oh, that's crazy. No, we don't have that at all. I think we have that in second year, but they haven't spoken to us about it. They've really been telling us about placement and doing like getting some kind of work experience. So that's really where their focus is. They're really trying to push us to get jobs rather than specializing too early. But I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess, because we haven't had the time to explore like the different elements of film. Like for instance, I've barely touched sound this year. But what if next year I'd be like sound recordist for a project and I end up loving it? We
Okay.
can't. I feel they're kind of waiting before we start specializing. But yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of.
If you were to like say turn around and be turn into a specialist today, what do you think that you would want to become?
Um, I had this conversation with my friend like a week ago.
If I turn around and I was the BBC or ITV and I was like, okay, Tom, I can give you any role you want. You can be a producer, you can be a director, production manager, assistant, anything like that. If you had free reign, doesn't matter about how much money you get or what
Yeah.
benefits you get, just you had that choice as a role. What would you go for?
I really like camera operating, but I'm very stubborn. So I like working with the camera, but when I
Mm.
disagree with the director over something, it gets a little heated. Like
Yeah.
they want to break the fourth wall. I'm like, stop it, please. But I mean, that'd be. I'd love to go into like DP, like camera operating, but a safe bet for me would be like DIT, like working with the files, making sure they're not getting corrupt.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
Because
that's
you
kind of.
quite, I remember you quite like editing as well. Like from secondary school, I remember you like playing with like, you know what I mean, playing with footage. I mean,
Yeah.
it might be ridiculous in terms of edits, but do you still like doing that now, or are you more like leaning away from that sort of position?
I found editing in college to be a very thankless job.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, if you get it right, no one praises you at all. But if you
Yeah.
get it wrong, and there is glaring holes in where it's wrong, that's where
Yeah.
there's problems. So,
Yeah.
there was a project I did in college where there wasn't any narrative. We tried to like
Okay.
edit a narrative in post, but we didn't have enough footage to work with it, and that's where the editing got caught under slack when it should have been the stuff on location that was caught under
Yeah.
slack. But it's one of those. I think that project that I had in college kind of steered me away from editing. I do enjoy it still, but
Yeah.
it's definitely, yeah.
Do you think it's
I'm
like in a football match, you know, where they blame the goalkeeper for
yeah,
letting the
it's
goal
it's
in?
like editing's like a goalkeeper role. You don't,
Yeah.
yeah,
You don't get the praise for it. It's essential as part of like protecting the team, looking after the team, but
Yeah.
it's not one of those ones that people are like, "Wow, that's a brilliant edit. That's like
Yeah,
so
exactly.
finely color graded."
Unless you're like Sam Calder, who like puts zoom transitions every second and makes everything look like
Give
absolute
someone like
stunning
a
art.
epileptic seizure or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I mean, there's a double-edged sword, I guess. But
Yeah.
I do. I can appreciate editing when it's done right, but I
Yeah.
don't think I have the patience to do it properly.
Yeah. Do you, like, you know, when you work on like a passion project though, like, you know, when you film your own sort of things. I mean, I watched your shoe commercial, your like review of the shoe. I was wetting myself. The way that was put together was really well done as well.
Oh, thank you, man.
Do you think that like when it comes to a passion project, you're willing to spend more time on it? Like, you know, when you're working as part of a group, you're like, oh, okay, I don't want to spend 5 hours doing this.
I think they're both kind of double-edged swords. So when you're working on your own, you get very perfectionist.
Yeah.
So if something's just slightly not right, you kind of beat yourself up over it. But
Yeah.
in a group, you kind of have to almost rush it, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know which I'd prefer. I was actually thinking of asking you this question. Like, so when you're doing your YouTube videos compared to like doing your like drama project, for instance,
Uh-huh.
do you prefer working on your own or do you like working in a team?
That's a difficult question. I mean, I like being a producer, so I like organising people and making sure stuff is in the right sort of place. But then when it comes to my YouTube side of work, quite a lot of it is like talking camera. So the videos that I've done recently are me sitting down, chatting to the camera, and that's pretty easy to edit. Whereas when I'm doing drama stuff, there's all these different clips, and it's quite overwhelming sometimes. I'm
Yeah.
like, although it's going to be a really good film, I just don't want to do it because this isn't my sort of passion. I like doing the other side of it. I'd rather just go, okay, you do all the editing. I'm going to do my bit, which is organising everyone.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Like, again, producer is a very sought after role.
Yeah.
Like, that was something that we were told was like, if you can organize people, that's crazy. Like, yeah, that is a really good skill set to have because there are so many projects that are like people who are doing like master degrees in at Hertfordshire who have like looking for help for their film set, and
Yeah.
they have no idea what they're doing. There was a project that I backed out of last minute,
Yeah.
that was the most unorganized mess, and this was done by people who have already graduated.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
coming back for another year just to get their masters, and it's just crazy how like unorganized they were.
But because like you said, it is a sought after role. But do you feel like if you say you want to be a camera assistant, that is a sought after role if you're good at that job, and people have that, like, they know you're good at that job, so you can be sought after in terms of your professional conduct. But do you think that applies across all the roles? So if you're a good audio engineer, you'll be like sought after, or do you think it, like you say, producing, because it's such a hard job to do? Do you think it's just the role, or does it come trickle down to the person?
I think it does trickle down to the person. There are some people who specialize early, and
Yeah.
those people constantly get the same job over and over.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a couple of like external projects that I was working on that are within the uni, but like not graded by the university, that I've been on where the same sound recordist returns again and again because he's so reliable, and he's a
Okay.
pretty great person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, for us, like being younger and less experienced, we're still trying to like figure out what we like and what we don't.
Yeah.
I think it does come down to like reliability, and and like your personality just comes through in it with that kind of thing.
True. I mean, especially in terms of, like you said, reliability. If people don't turn up to set, even if you are a student, or they turn up late to set, in the back of my mind's eye, I'm like, I thought I trusted you. I trusted you to be on time. Or like, when you set the call time for 10 minutes earlier and they're late to the call time, and you're like,
Yeah.
come on, we're here to work as part of a team. You've got to pull your own slack, sort of thing.
Yeah. I remember the first like documentary project we worked on in September. Such a mess. Such a mess. There are some people who hadn't even made it into the country yet, but didn't tell
Okay.
us. There were some
Oh,
people
nice. Sweet.
who, quote unquote, had COVID, but again, just didn't tell us. Our camera operator couldn't walk in a straight line without the camera like being everywhere, and me
Yeah.
being the editor of it, I couldn't. There's nothing I
You
could
were
do.
just
with it.
crying.
Yeah, and we were also using some butch like cloud-based editing software that was so
Okay.
stripped down and basic that we couldn't even add any kind of stabilization. So we had to work with
Okay.
this like hella shaky footage. What could you do? It was really, and also our topic, security, because they're contracted by the university, they were so difficult to talk to.
Okay.
And
I see what you
and
mean.
even worse, my flatmate had COVID during that shoot week, so I couldn't even assist anyone. I was stuck in my room whilst I was hoping that this production was going ahead, and I hoped it was doing all right.
I mean, you mentioned about your cloud sort of editing software. Are you still using Premiere, or have you gone down the Avid route, like into the depths of Avid?
So, to get everyone up to speed, they use this cloud service thing. It sucks.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then, yeah, we've been dipping our toes into Avid, like with the color grading and the just general like how to use the interface.
Does it hurt?
Yes and no. I thought it was going to hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
I had my expectations so high because I've heard so many horror stories of like people like messing up in Avid like when they've come from Premiere, but
Yeah.
it's not actually been too. It's been
It's just-
relatively painless.
You're used
but-
to Premiere though. That's the issue, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you know where everything is. You're like, oh yeah, C for cut, V
Yeah.
for like normal control panel, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go to Avid and you're like, oh my hands
just gotta
don't work
relearn it.
anymore.
Yeah, we're fortunate that in the editing suites we have the keyboard that has all the shortcuts, like with the graphics on the keyboard. So, some things like translate over, others don't. But when I do a lot of my personal projects on Premiere, it really sucks, like trying to like cut it across or whatever.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. I just want to say thank you for having a quick sort of chat with me today.
That's all right, mate.
Tom is, well, I mean, he, like I said, he does TV production anyway. Think you're working on a podcast, aren't you, Tom? At some point soon.
I'm working on a
Fingers crossed.
podcast at some point. Link my channel in the description, I guess. And yeah, more info will come out soon. But yeah, thank you very much for having me, mate.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. yeah, I will see you. See you. Thank you. See you soon.
Yeah. See you in the
Cheers.
summer. In a bit.